From the outside, it looked like a love story straight out of a billionaire's fantasy. A massive superyacht glided across the sparkling Mediterranean. Golden champagne flutes shimmered under the sunset. Cameras captured every elegant gesture, every laugh, every touch. Newspapers rushed to crown them as the golden couple of the age. Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, and Lauren Sanchez, the glamorous woman who seemed to complete his empire. But as the world would soon learn, wealth and power can buy almost anything, except loyalty. Whispers before the storm. It began quietly, like all scandals do. A whisper here, a rumor there. Some of the elite noticed something strange, a detail out of place, something that didn't fit the perfect image Bezos and Sanchez had been selling. And then came the photos. At first, they were blurry, unclear, the kind of pictures you might scroll past. But the longer you looked, the more troubling they became. Lauren Sanchez, alone on the deck of a yacht, smiling at another man. Not just smiling, leaning in close, letting his hand linger on hers. The body language spoke louder than words. In the world of billionaires, privacy is a fortress. But on this day, the fortress cracked. What happened on that yacht didn't stay there. Photos meant to remain hidden slipped into the wrong inbox, spread through a chain of gossip, and finally landed in the lap of Jeff Bezos himself. The man who had faced global trade wars, political scrutiny, and the challenges of launching rockets into space suddenly found himself facing something he couldn't control, evidence that his marriage might already be over. The illusion of perfection. To the public, Bezos and Sanchez had been the embodiment of a modern power couple. Their relationship was splashed across glossy magazine covers and celebrated in corporate media as the ultimate union of power, ambition, and glamour. Bezos, the founder of Amazon, wasn't just rich, he was a symbol of modern capitalism. The man who could buy a $500 million superyacht without blinking, the man who casually launched rockets into space, the man whose very name had become shorthand for unimaginable power. Sanchez, on the other hand, brought charisma and personality. Once a TV host, later a helicopter pilot, she had the confidence to stand beside Bezos without being overshadowed. She was glamorous enough for Hollywood, independent enough to keep her own identity, and charming enough to captivate rooms full of billionaires. Together, they seemed magnetic. They smiled for cameras at film festivals, appeared at charity galas, and projected an image of unity so flawless that even critics couldn't deny their chemistry. But behind the cameras, their reality was less perfect. Bezos' empire kept him away for long stretches. Sanchez, fiercely independent, maintained her own busy social life. What had once attracted Bezos, her independence, also created distance. Friends hinted at small conflicts, and in that void, something else quietly slipped in. The day everything changed. It was supposed to be just another billionaire's escape, a luxurious yacht anchored in turquoise waters, privacy guaranteed. The crew was trained to perfection. The champagne was chilled. No one expected scandal. Among the guests was a man who fit seamlessly into the setting. Wealthy, attractive, and familiar enough with Lauren to share long conversations. Witnesses later described the subtle details, the laugh, the lean, the way his hand lingered on her arm longer than friendship allowed. Normally, such moments would pass unnoticed. But not here. Someone on board had a camera. And in a world where loyalty can be bought, no secret is truly safe. By the time the yacht returned to port, the whispers had already started. And within days, the images, blurry but powerful, began moving through private channels. They eventually reached Jeff Bezos himself. The first photo he saw was simple yet devastating. Lauren in a bikini, leaning across a table toward another man. He knew the date. He knew the location. Most importantly, he knew he hadn't been there. When private betrayal becomes public. More photos followed. A hand on a shoulder, faces inches apart, private laughter. None were explicit, but they didn't need to be. Bezos knew how the world would interpret them. It didn't take long for the images to escape private circles and reach editors in New York and Los Angeles. By the next morning, the headlines were everywhere. Billionaire's wife in yacht scandal. Lauren Sanchez caught in Mediterranean mystery. Trouble in paradise. The internet devoured it. Social media exploded with memes, theories, and conspiracies. Was the man just a friend? Was it a staged embarrassment? Was Bezos himself the target of a larger game? For Lauren, the change was brutal. Months earlier, she had been praised for her beauty, confidence, and charm. Now, she was hounded by paparazzi at her doorstep. Every appearance became a circus. Every gesture was overanalyzed. Her silence, no interviews, no statements, only made the speculation worse. Bezos's quiet counterattack. Bezos, however, played a different game. Publicly, he appeared calm. He continued speaking at conferences, attending meetings, and posting about business and space exploration. To outsiders, nothing had changed. But those close to him knew otherwise. Behind the scenes, Bezos tightened his inner circle. Security experts and digital investigators were called in. Guest lists, metadata, and yacht crew contracts were scrutinized. Non-disclosure agreements were aggressively enforced. This wasn't about jealousy. For Bezos, it was about power and image. A scandal of this magnitude wasn't just personal, it was a threat to the empire he had built. If investors or competitors sensed weakness, the cost could be astronomical. From private rift to global drama. As the story spread, it stopped being about love and loyalty. It became about control. In the world of billionaires, betrayal isn't just emotional, it's strategic. Competitors watch. Investors calculate. Rivals wait for distraction. The marriage, once paraded as unshakable, now looked fragile. Friends who once admired their chemistry now whispered about cold silences and awkward appearances. Even when Bezos and Sanchez appeared together, the tension was visible. Public opinion had already chosen sides. Lauren was cast as the betrayer. Bezos was framed as the betrayed titan. And with each passing day, the real question shifted from did she cheat to how will Bezos respond? Silence as a weapon. The world watched, waiting. Would Bezos file for divorce? Would he seek revenge? Would he stage a dramatic announcement? Instead, he chose silence. And silence, in his hands, became a weapon. It kept the media guessing, gave no one control of the narrative, and left him with the power to decide when and how the next chapter would unfold. Insiders whispered of secret meetings with lawyers, sudden financial maneuvers, and strategic steps being laid like chess pieces. Some believed he was preparing to leave Sanchez. Others argued he was preparing to win, to gather every detail and ultimately turn the scandal in his favor. The most expensive game. In the end, whether the photos showed betrayal or just misinterpreted moments didn't matter. What mattered was perception. And perception had already shifted. For Lauren, the scandal was a devastating blow to her image. For Bezos, it was a reminder that even the richest man on earth could not control everything, but he could control how he responded. Because in the world of billionaires, revenge isn't loud. It's quiet. It's calculated. And it always comes at a price far greater than anyone expects. So the question remains, what really happened on that yacht? Was it a misunderstanding magnified by gossip, or the first visible crack in a marriage built for the cameras? The truth may never be known. But one thing is certain, when love, power, and betrayal collide in the billionaire world, the fallout is never just personal, it's global. The silent response. As weeks passed, the public waited for Bezos's next move. Would it be divorce? Would it be revenge? Or would he simply ignore the storm? His silence became his weapon. By saying nothing, he gave nothing away. But insiders whispered of closed-door meetings with lawyers, sudden business maneuvers, and strategies being drawn not just to protect his empire, but to rewrite the scandal itself. Some believed Bezos was preparing to leave Sanchez. Others suspected he intended to win, to gather every detail, every angle, and ultimately turn the story in his favor. After all, this was a man who had built Amazon by outthinking everyone around him. underscore 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 underscore. The most expensive game. In the end, whether the photos represented betrayal or misunderstanding hardly mattered. What mattered was the perception, and perception had already shifted. For Lauren Sanchez, the scandal marked a turning point. For Jeff Bezos, it became a test not just of loyalty, but of power, control, and revenge. Because in the world of billionaires, revenge is never loud. It is calculated, precise, and devastating. And its cost is always higher than anyone expects. So, what really happened that day on the yacht? Was it an exaggerated misunderstanding, or the first crack in a marriage staged for cameras? The world may never know.